This is Mom Anxiety with Sav Social, and I'm your host, Samantha. Let's get right into it before the baby wakes up. Okay, so today we're doing a solo episode. Um, I had planned to have a guest, but it's okay. We ended up pushing the day back, so she still will be on, just not today. So, yeah, let's catch up a little bit. I know I missed a week, and we have a lot of personal updates. Let's start with teething. So the baby does have two more teeth coming in. So again, this can cause sleep regression or just challenges in every day. He might be a little bit more cranky. So it's always something to monitor and acknowledge because sometimes when he might not be feeling well, it's hard to identify it, obviously, because he doesn't talk yet. But he does have two teeth coming in. So that is very exciting. So right now he has, including those, because they're not fully in, but you could see them definitely peeking through. He has six teeth before one, which is insane. Also, another update is for his sleep schedule. We have been trying to have him take at least one nap of the day in his crib, which is currently what he's doing now. And I feel like it'll just help him. We've spoke to other people. It definitely helps them break that cycle of sleeping in the bed. Um, there's been a few nights where we got him to sleep 3 or 4 hours in the crib during the night, and then he wakes up and comes to our bed. But I'm definitely excited about this because I think it'll be a good transition for him. It'll help us get more rest and him as well. And yeah, so I know I mentioned his first birthday. So that is really the main topic for today, or at least it transitions to our main topic. And yeah, let's get right into it. So I was trying to come up with a theme for his birthday, and I decided to choose One Very Hungry Caterpillar. I don't know if you ever read the book by Eric Carle. I've had his book since I was a child, and I feel like it's pretty cool to be doing that theme as my son's first birthday, giving like a full circle moment. It's one of my favorite books. I think it's just the illustrations are adorable, and I'm really excited to do this as his theme. To be honest, I was trying to keep the party kind of small, but we both have very big families, and I am trying to figure out what ways can we keep this where it's not too crazy as far as decorations. So I've been, collecting ideas from Pinterest and going to do a lot of DIY projects. I'm really excited about that. So we have a lot to plan within the next couple of weeks. With that milestone coming up, though, is the big question. Um, a lot of people have been asking me, when do we plan on having a second child? And if you asked me that a few weeks ago, honestly, I would have been like, not for another year or so. Um, Not for any specific reason. I guess it's just because it is a lot. And, now that he's starting to try to pull himself up more and walking and teething, it definitely has its challenges, um, just with like everyday, tasks. Um, So that's really what I would say. But to be honest, I feel like you're never actually ready to have your next kid. It kind of just happens and you acclimate to it. Um, so after, thinking, I'm not saying that I would like a child right now, but if it was to happen sooner than that, I think I would be happy about it. I know my husband feels the same way. Like, of course, children are a lot of work, but there's so many exciting things that come with it, and I I think it's almost time, not time yet, but almost time. Um, it's so funny though. As soon as the baby turns one, that's like the first question everybody says. They are like, "Okay, when's the next kid coming?" I don't know if anyone has ever been in this situation, but there's so many questions that run through my mind and challenges that I think of. could happen if I have two kids sooner than later. And these are some of the questions I feel like a lot of women can relate to, and maybe some struggles, some, you know, things that they're thinking about that they're not too sure what the answer is. And honestly, you won't know the answer until you have a second child. And think about it, it works out for everyone. You'll be fine. But these are some of the questions I curated for you guys. Um, so the first question is, how can I love two babies at the same time? I know that sounds weird, but we give our full undivided attention to one child right now, and I can't imagine doing that for two. And people have five kids, so obviously it's possible, but it's just so hard to wrap your mind around that. And like I said, that's if you only have one kid, that's like your full attention is on them. So that's one thing that always runs through my mind, and I never want to take away from him. But at the same time, when you have two or three or four or whatever, you're obviously going to love all your kids the same. And my next question is, what if he is jealous? So I don't know, that always pops in my head because, like I said, he's getting all the attention right now from his parents, from his grandparents, from his great grandparents. So he doesn't know any different. And I guess he's still at a young age where it might not make that much of a difference, which I'll get into that later. But I guess as he gets older and develops more of a personality, he might be jealous when we do have another child. My next question is, will I be overwhelmed? So, to be honest, I feel like even with one, you're always a little bit overwhelmed. So, what's two gonna do, right? Um, what will my day to day be like? And like if I decide to breastfeed again. So, for my first, I know I talked about this in the past. I only breastfed for about 2.5 months, maybe even three. But I remember it was challenging. And to be honest, I know I had mentioned to you that he was doing, I was supplementing with formula. So I was doing both. And, before I had the baby, I thought breastfeeding was going to be a breeze. And I didn't realize how much of a challenge it was. And honestly, a lot of people feel differently about this. This is a big topic. I know a lot of women that breastfeed still and have no issue at all. I feel like everybody's completely different. I know I've seen both ends of this, so I just worry that if I'm breastfeeding, taking care of a newborn, and then I have either a toddler or whatever, however old he'll be, how that's going to work. Like my husband is working full time, and when you breastfeed, it's all on you. It's very challenging to breastfeed without with getting help at the same time, because obviously you're the one you're the one creating the food for this baby. So that's one of the questions. Next is, will my pregnancy be the same? And this one really is probably my number one question, because I had a really good pregnancy. I'm not saying I didn't feel sick, I'm not saying I didn't have severe back pain, but you hear some stories that are a little bit more extreme. So compared to that, yeah, my pregnancy was good. um, Toward the end, I had to do like physical therapy because I was having a lot of tailbone pain because of the pressure of the baby, and I had heartburn 24/7. But again, like these things, like now I'm like thinking about it, it's nothing. um you're uncomfortable, of course, but I am worried that my pregnancy the second time will be different, and of course it will be. And even if I had a girl the second time, is this going to create different symptoms? um, and how am I going to manage that when I have another kid? But again, keep in mind, like, people do this all the time, so that's what I keep telling myself. And if you're in the same boat where you're looking to have a second kid within the next year or 2 years, these are just questions I feel like a lot of moms, or women that are trying to have a child for the second time, like, think of. So I know I spoke to you guys in the past about the What to Expect app or this site. I like lived by this through pregnancy, and I still kind of go on there once in a while when I see articles that pertain to the baby, like what stages he's going through, or any anything new. I do go on it still, and I actually found multiple articles about second time parenting and between the pros and cons of different age gaps. So I thought that was really interesting. I wanted to share it with you guys. Like I said, I'm going to be sharing my opinion on these points, but the points are directed from the article, What to Expect. So if you decide to have a baby within 1 year, here are some of the pros. So the first pro is it's more efficient. Of course, you're very tired, but diapering, bathing, other daily tasks are like second nature at this point. So you might be going through the same thing with both kids at the same time. So really, it's not challenging, or not that it's not challenging, but it might, you know, you'll be able to jump right into it like it's nothing because you're still doing it with the first kid. The second pro is for the first kid might be less bothered by the change. So, like I was talking about before, is my son going to be jealous? I mean, as of right now, even if I was to get pregnant tomorrow, they wouldn't be a year apart, obviously. They would be, more than that, but let's just say for conversation, um, he would be less bothered by change because he's still a baby himself. When they're a little bit older, maybe they're have more of a personality. They can identify this shift, and that could be a pro of having children closer together. And then the third pro is that your children will be closer. They'll be going through things at the same time, so they might be closer. They can connect better. They can relate to each other more when they're older. So that is the third pro of having a child within 1 year. The cons, okay, so the cons are a little bit obvious. The first one being it's harder on your body. You don't bounce back as quick within a year. Um, it's more demanding, which I know I kind of mentioned it as the pro, but there's a pro and con to the same point that obviously, you're changing two diapers, you're, feeding both maybe at the same time. It's different, but definitely more demanding with two children. Your attention is divided. You can't pass down baby gear when they both need it. So that one I was like, wow, I never really thought about that, obviously, because I'm not in that situation. But, for example, if you need a car seat for one, you're going to have to be buying double basically because you can't pass down the car seat because the other one's still using it. So that's just another con, or not really con, that sounds like aggressive. I just mean like things that like you might not have thought about that could be more challenging. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the 2 year pros. So your body is more ready than if you had a baby 1 year apart. So it's so funny because currently I'm probably about 2 or 3 pounds over what my original weight was before I got pregnant. And my mom always jokes about this because for my brother and she got back to her exact weight and then she got pregnant again. So it's like you did all that work and then you get pregnant again. And I'm like, oh God, I hope that's not me, but I'm 3 pounds away. So you never know. um, I always think that's so funny though, because you don't realize like how much your body has changed within a year. And then if you get pregnant again, then it's like all over again. Um, with a 2 year age gap, also, it reduces risk of pregnancy complications. And the last one is that you have the basics down pat and caring for a newborn just as natural to you. And, same thing as before. It's not that far apart where you completely forget everything. All right, so then we're going to go over the 2 year cons. So one could be sibling jealousy. I feel like at that point your child is a little bit older, maybe, they're watching you care for this newborn. Obviously newborns need a lot of attention, and that can cause sibling jealousy. And I want to disclaim that all of this information, like I said, is from this article. Who knows what's true and what's not true, like what actually would happen with your kids. Obviously it's based off personality and I guess your relationship with the kid. Like, are you home with them 24/7? Or do they go to daycare? Do they go to their grandparents once in a while? Like, there's obviously a lot of other factors to this, and this is just like a fun little article I thought I would share with you guys. Um, Another con for a 2-year age gap is your toddler might start acting out. So, like I said, it might reflect, be similar to the jealousy thing, that this is all new to them and they're adjusting just as much as you are. The third con would be your child may regress. So at first I was like, what do you mean by this? Like, I don't know. I feel like that seems a little crazy, but from what I was reading, it was talking about like potty training accidents, thumb sucking, and I guess, they all kind of collaborate together where like the jealousy can cause them acting out and then can cause like a child to maybe not want to potty train, or they start sucking their thumb because the newborn's sucking their thumb. Like just like little things. It's interesting that kids pick up on, I guess. And the fourth con says temporary chaos, which I feel like that could be for anything. Like there's always something going on. Who cares? Have fun with it. Obviously, sometimes it's frustrating. You might get overwhelmed, but in the end, like you're going to be fine. And yeah, it might be crazy a little bit, but who cares, right? So, based off what I read, I feel like having a 2-year age gap might be more challenging, but as far as your body and maybe your mental health, I feel like that would be ideal to have a 2-year age gap. Um, Whatever happens, happens, of course. And if it, who knows how this is going to happen the second time, or God willing, it even does happen the second time. So I feel like I'll be okay with whatever. And although it may be challenging, I'm definitely going to adapt better than the first time, of course, because, like I said, you already have the knowledge. You might not be as scared in the beginning. Everything's different. Depends on everything. It could be a crazy pregnancy, it could be a crazy delivery, it could be a crazy baby. Like, literally, there's a million things that could change this, but I feel like we got this. And yeah, so if you were one of the people that are thinking about, do you want a second child, or what the age gap you want to, what's most realistic for your life, if you're working, obviously, maybe you want to push it off a little bit. And obviously, there's a million things that could determine when you're going to have a second child. So, yeah, I hope these kind of put your mind at ease and give you a little perspective on like different challenges and the pros of different age gaps. All right, so let's jump right into the nap time tea. I have two simple topics today, keeping it light. I'm really excited about next week's episode, so please stay tuned. Turn on those notifications, subscribe, do what you got to do, girl, because we have a really exciting topic next week, and it's definitely different than my normal routine. So, the first nap time tea topic is to get a double stroller in the beginning, like when you have one child, versus getting a regular single stroller. There are a few moms that I talk to on a daily basis, and one of them has a double stroller and the other one has a single stroller. So, based on their opinions and what I feel, it's cool to have that option for when the child is older, but keep in mind that double strollers are a lot heavier. And you may not think about that because you're thinking about the future of having more than one kid, but that is one con, I guess you would say, with having a double stroller. But then the pro of it is that you're ready to go. You don't have to buy anything in the future. It's already there and that's it. So, me personally, Honestly, I really never thought about the double stroller. I don't think it's a bad option. I just currently only have a single one, so that, I'm happy with whatever I have. And yeah, so that's one topic that I kind of wanted to talk about. What do you guys think? Do you have a double stroller, or are you the type that's gonna, like, are you a planner for ahead, or are you in the moment and sticking with a single stroller and you'll figure it out in the future? Okay, the second topic is using a travel pump versus a plug-in pump. So again, I have seen both sides of this. And when I was breastfeeding in the beginning, I was using a plug-in pump. It came with the insurance. Like, I was just trying to be financially efficient. And to be honest, for the second time around, I'm 100% getting a travel pump. I don't care if I have to start saving every dime right now. I feel like it's so much more effective, and it it just takes a level of stress off. Like, you're not worried about collecting all these pieces to your pump. If you're on a walk, throw the travel pumps on. If you're going to somebody's house, it's like you're not, now you're worried about bringing every single piece. Now you have another kid, it's too much. So go with what's more efficient and make your life easier. There's no reason, obviously it is more money, but in the end, you'll be happy that you have it because it'll just make breastfeeding so much easier. You already have a lot of pressure that you have to be, formulating a specific amount of milk and feeding your child, so that he's in the right percentile or she's in the right percentile. So just to take off a little bit of pressure on you, get the travel pump. That's my advice. I don't have one, didn't have one, but I feel like when I was, you know, pumping and I had to go upstairs and then I would go downstairs and up and down, and it's ridiculous because you have a baby to take care of, and like I said, if you're a second time parent, you have two kids, you don't need to be worried about where the pump is and, can I plug it in here? Can I sit here comfortably? Like, just make the investment. It's definitely worth it. And yeah, so that kind of concludes today's episode. I know it's a little bit short. I have a lot of bottles to clean, but I definitely wanted to talk about these topics. So thank you guys again for listening to Momxiety, and I hope to talk to you next nap time. See ya.